I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right, all my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome to the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. And it is our third Sunday of the month here on the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show. So that means it is monthly gardening book club time. Yes, we've got our good friend, Mr. NBC, joining with us here in just a few minutes here for our In the Garden and co-host of our monthly gardening book club. And then just here a little bit later in the show, we will have with us Kristin Graves as we're featuring her book, The Garlic Companion, this month. Really great book, The Garlic Companion. Loads and loads of garlic talk ahead for us here a little bit later on in the show. Can't wait to talk about this. Just a really, really great book that we've been featuring this month, and really great author here to have a conversation with here just a little bit later on in the show. So hold on for all of that. But here at the top of the show, let's go ahead and let's get everything started with a big old thumbs up. Let's click that like button. Let's also subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, as well as share with all your friends. Let them know that we are here every Saturday and Sunday here on the Urban Gardener channel. And that's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time for all of you over in the UK. And really, really bright and early for all of our Australia folks from wherever in the country you're following from too as well. But thank you all so much for being here. And also a big, huge shout out to all of our friends watching on the replay. Team Replay, thank you so much for joining with us here today. Thank you for watching and putting in some comments down below too. I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you got growing on. Let me know, again, we're talking garlic today. Let me know if you got your garlic planted out. I'd love to hear about all of that. Even if you just want to drop by and say hi, definitely get into the comments section below. And if you do have any questions or comments for us, if you're here with us live, definitely drop into our chat, join in with the chat there. And if you do have any questions or comments or anything like that that you want featured on the show, definitely put those in big, bold capital letters so that I can see those from the regular conversation. And also definitely follow all the links down below in the description of the show. That's where you'll find all of our links to our guests. And go and follow them. Go let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. Go put a comment on one of their recent videos or posts or something like that. Always love that sort of support, going the extra mile and showing our guests some support as well too. You'll also find links for our other social media down there, especially our co-host, Mr. NBC. You got his Instagram down below. You got all of our other social media as well too. So go and check out all of those links as well. Right on, everybody. Here we are. It is again that time of year. Again, we're here to talk about garlic today, and that's kind of where I'm at as well too. It's about that time. Not quite sure. I think, maybe we'll get some good frost coming up here real soon. But it's about that time for me to start planning and getting all of my garlic into the ground as well here in Southern Oregon. Now, I know for some of you in the more northern areas, you might have already gotten that done. And then some of you who are a little more south, this means you might be waiting just a little bit longer too. But it is right around that time for all of us to be thinking about getting our garlic into the ground, which means that we're getting our 2026 garden started. So this is one of the first things that we're doing in this year to get ready for next year. Garlic's a really takes a long time, 9+ months or so, in order to really grow some great garlic in your garden. And we get it all the way started all the way back here in the previous year, from the year that we harvested. So we're getting that going here around my different gardens, plus my friend, where we grow most of our bulk amount of garlic that we grow out in front of his. He has we have a couple of big front yard plots that we put out at his place a couple of years back, and it's about time for us to get out all of our garlic and start planting that out. We were just discussing making plans for that this week as well too. So it's definitely garlic time. I've got some of my previous year's harvested garlic that we've got, some of what will become some of our cloves that we'll plant out for our garlic garden for this next year. And again, we're saving our biggest and best bulbs and our biggest and best cloves to go out into our garden for our harvest next year. And yeah, it's really, I got all these different cloves around here. We've got some garlic aroma floating around here in the studio right now, for sure. That and all sorts of other things going on. If you didn't get a chance to check out yesterday's show, I'll mention that here too as well. Yesterday's show, we had some fun with our friend and facilitator, Jay Dixon. Jay joined with us yesterday on the show, and we did something just a little bit different. We let Jay take over the show and host. She did a fantastic job too. She opened up the show, did everything as I would normally do, and then turned the tables on me, and I ended up being the guest on my own show. So that's what we did yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to check that out, you can go back and check that show out from yesterday. It was really fun and really different. It was different for me to kind of sit back and kind of watch Jay do everything that I normally do for the show, and sit back and wait to be a guest again on my own show here, which was really fun and interesting. I think it would be was fun and interesting for all of you as well too. Is I'm usually the one who's doing the interviews around here and hosting the discussions that we have on the show. So it was really fun to kind of be on the other side of that, and to answer your guys' questions and give you guys a chance just to learn just a little bit more about myself as well too. Is we hang out here each and every week, and again too, also I'll just mention too, you can come back again these next week or two here, as we'll be kind of having some general hangouts and stuff. If you didn't get a chance to participate in that show yesterday, and you do have any questions you might want to ask that we didn't get to on yesterday's show, you can definitely come back again to this next week or so, and ask me whatever you want when it comes down to it. But it was really fun. It was a really fun hangout, really fun to do that sort of thing. It was different, but definitely fun. So you'll want to go back and check that out if you didn't get a chance to yet. So right on, everybody. Great to Again, great to have you all here with us today. I will also mention too that if you didn't get a chance to check out our show last week. Now, last week we had a really, really amazing show on our Saturday show. We had Andrew Millison joining with us. That was a great discussion. Andrew does some really, really amazing kind of documentary style videos where he goes and interviews all sorts of people and organizations from around the world even. And this guy has been around traveling and seeing some really cool stuff. And so we got to dig in with him and talk about all of that sort of stuff on last Saturday's show. And last Sunday, we for our Sunday edition of the show, we had on with us Gardner Scott. Gardner Scott was with us for our second Sunday Ask Gardner Scott show, where he answers all of your gardening questions. So yeah, definitely want to go back and check that out. We always have such a great, fun conversation with Gardner Scott and learn so much. It's just such a great opportunity to, again, answer all of your gardening questions, but give us an opportunity to learn a lot about growing and gardening from Gardner Scott. So that was a great show last week, if you didn't get a chance to check that out. So, all right, let's jump in here and let's say hi to some folks here. Of course, Let's say hi first to our good friend Jay Dixon, who was our host yesterday. Like I said, also too, we had a little conversation with her as well too, and she'll probably be back on in the next week or two as well too. So if you got any questions for Jay or anything like that as well, so definitely come back for that. But she's in the chat there. She's facilitating our discussion, and keep an eye out for any sort of links or other bits of information. And also too, if you do have any small channels and you haven't had a shout out or anything, let us know as well too, and Jay can get a link to your channel for us to all go show some support to your channel as well too. So right on. Also, we've got Adam with us. Great to see you, Adam, joining us from right up the road here. Says he's listening in while he's finishing up some chores. Awesome. Great way to listen in while you're doing things, whether it's chores around the house or chores out in the garden. It's great to have you here to catch up with us here on the show. And also, Kevin, great to see you. Awesome to have you here with us. I see Shawnee Groves here with us. She says she's in the kitchen right now. Right on, right on. And so same with food forest permaculture, canning. So in the kitchen as well too. Right on. That's great. It is that time of year to be preserving and canning and doing all that sort of stuff. See Serena in the conversation. Hello, Serena. Great to see you here. Eddie, always great to see you. And I see John here. He says he's in Ohio, and I normally plant garlic about when the leaves are beginning to drop, and I'm late. Yeah, well, the one thing about garlic, as they always say, is that it's always better to be late than early when it comes to garlic. So you're probably just right on when it comes down to it. Also see Bowtie Life in the Garden. Greetings, global gardeners. Great to see you, David. Awesome to have you here with us here today, and everybody else. So thank you so much for being here. Right on. So let's see here. Make sure I'm all set up with all of that. And yeah, everybody, I guess it's time that we welcome in our good friend, Mr. MBC, for our In the Garden. So, all right. For our In the Garden segment this week, again, it's the third Sunday of the month, our book club month. That means that we've got our good friend, Mr. MBC, joining with us live on the show. Yeah, what there?
Yeah, you caught me right in the middle of reading the first seed catalog that I've got this season. So I just got my hands all over this Johnny's seed catalog that just came yesterday.
Right on. You seeing some good stuff in there already, or what?
Oh my God, there's desire at every page. I gotta say, desire at every page. I can't even, since when I first started gardening, I was kind of pure veg. I didn't care about flowers and all that stuff. But now I love flowers too. So I can't even go a page in here without being like something that I want to grow. So it's really troublesome.
Right. Yeah.
Very difficult time of the year.
I started the same way. I had a real food forward perspective of my garden spaces as well, and it took me a while to start getting in, learning to grow more flowers, do all the, diversify my garden spaces into other things besides that. It's mostly food still, that's my primary focus, but it's always great to get some of these other things included into your garden space too as well.
Oh yeah, so this is just obviously it's a very exciting time of the year, and before the show we were talking about these first out of the gate people. They get our attention, man. It's like I'm gonna be all over this Johnny's catalog. They get like 2 to 3 weeks lead time over everybody else, and man, that's the only catalog you're looking at. Your mind starts to line up. I'm gonna grow all these Johnny's varieties, but usually I was saying it's Pine Tree, a little seed company in Maine that I've often gotten the first catalog from, and I'll order some things from them just because it's the first one that comes in. But now Johnny's is making a bold move here to get in the box early.
Yeah, and actually too, as I was mentioning to you before the show, Baker Creek got their whole seed catalog out as well too, so that's showing up in folks' mailboxes around this time as well. I just got mine the other
Mm.
day, so that's really exciting. Again, it's the biggest, largest seed catalog out there, and like you're saying, is when get that out early, get everybody's eyes on your stuff as soon as you possibly can. And Johnny's is great, one of my favorites as well too. But this whole seed catalog, man, it's like, again, as I say this all the time, is like we're from that generation where you remember, each holiday season you get like either the big
Oh,
Sears catalog, or
absolutely.
when when we were kids, you get like the Toys R Us big catalog or something that you would get, those sort of things. So, but that's what I kind of consider that whole seed catalog is like the Sears catalog of seeds and heirloom seeds, and it's just so wonderful with all the photography and all of the things that they've got in that catalog. So I think there's a good point, like you were saying there too, is to get out as early as you can for these seed companies to get our eyeballs on their stuff first, right?
Yeah, either that or the other strategy is like there's this one Oregon seed company called Adaptive that I really love. And
Yeah.
they have a plain just print only, words only catalog. So you'd think, oh my God, how can they compete with people like Baker Creek and Johnny's? But first of all, the wording and the writing is really good. So one, it's entertaining to read, which is fun.
Yeah.
And then two, they just offer. They have a clear vision on what they're trying to offer in terms of varieties. So it's really different than like Johnny's, for example. It's really gone over to a lot of hybrids, and I get it. I've grown a lot of hybrids, and they are consistent, they're uniform, they're early. There's a lot of advantages to hybrids, but
Yeah.
you also just give up your sovereignty in so many ways, right? I mean, it's just like you're not going to be able to save true seed from the hybrids, and you're really just like saying, okay, I'm going to get a little drug dependent here, and got to keep those Mokum carrots coming, because if I lose my supply, I'm going to have a freak out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
So,
seed that
Adaptive, in my mind, it's like I'm going to order from them too. Even I don't care if they're 3 months later than Johnny's, I'm still going to order from them because I believe in their vision. So I guess we
right.
seek out the places that not only that dazzle us with their colorful arrays, although that definitely works, but then we go looking for things that we want. As you're more and more experienced, you kind of get a sense of what you want and why you want it, and then you go and support that stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big seed saver myself. So,
Yeah.
I like to make sure, at least for the certain crops that I like to save seeds from, that, I'm getting those good varieties that you can. But like you said, it's always kind of, you know, for one, I deal with, like as far as tomatoes are concerned, right?
Yeah.
I can't grow as many of the cool heirlooms like I used to, just because
Yeah.
of how hot it gets and just the
Oh yeah, you were
conditions
saying
have
the
changed
changes.
so much that, so when it comes to those sort of things, I'm testing around and trying different, more hybrid type of
Mm.
tomatoes in order to, get good production out of them during my summertime, because you need some more heat tolerant varieties. And that's kind of where you go when you're dealing with different conditions, is finding those ones that are, more able to handle, your like I said, for us, the heat here in the summertime. And that's way I get, I got a couple of new varieties that I've been trying. But again, like you said, they're hybrids, and I'm not going to be able to save the seeds from them now. And I'll just have to order those if I want to keep doing it, or just try new ones, keep trying newer
Yeah.
ones as well, too.
Hybrids have their place. Even the eminent tomato breeder and grower Craig LaHoulier that we interviewed there,
Yeah.
he
Yep.
he put some hybrids in his book. He's like, hey, Sun Gold, I've never met a tomato that can match a Sun Gold for flavor.
Right.
I've never been able
Yes.
to dehybridize it, so I keep buying it. It's like, yeah, I do too. I love Sun Gold.
Yeah, I got Sun Gold as well too. That one I've actually grown the last 2 seasons as well. really great one. But yeah, and again, like you said, I thought maybe I had some volunteers that dropped from my Sun Gold the previous year, but then they turned red and they weren't
Yeah, yeah.
or anything like that too. So again, not really. It's something you're gonna have to get seeds for and grow each and every year, but it's kind of worth it for some of these varieties.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so the seed catalogs are coming. I love this time of year too because I start turning toward my beloved microgreens.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so
We talked about that a little bit last week for the In the Garden as well, right?
Yeah, some years ago, I just somehow I made the jump of like I had these lights that I grew all my starts in, and round about October I'd shut everything down. There were no more starts. My last batches of whatever mustard greens or spinach or whatever was going out to the garden, and that was it. And I just shut the lights off and wouldn't start them up again until February or something. But one year, speaking of light, a light went off in my mind, just saying, why am I not using this to grow greens, that I can eat? And so thus was born my adventures into microgreens. So I've been doing this thing called Microgreens U, which is a lot of fun on my Instagram channel, and just experimenting like crazy. Like I love the fact that with microgreens, you can get a crop in a couple of weeks, sometimes as little as 7 days.
Yeah.
This is some chervil that I'm growing. And after our last talk with Kelpie Wilson, I started adding some biochar to some of my trials. And that's what the red tag signifies. I've got all these different little tags in here, but the red tag signifies biochar. And I've been doing some comparisons to see if adding a little biochar to various potting soils can up the performance. I'm getting a little bit of mixed results, but I think I need to do more volume in my trials to make sure I get something that's statistically reliable.
Yeah. Again, it's always fun. I've been following along with you and doing that the last couple of seasons, what you call Microgreens U University.
Yeah, it's free learning.
So,
It's like hopefully college level stuff. I don't know. It's not that advanced.
You're taking the time to set it all up and do all these fun little experiments, whether it's the different soil types and or different amounts of seed or just different variations that you're applying to each of these trials that you're doing with these different ones, which is great. That's some really in-depth knowledge that a little further than what we usually go through, but you're finding or finding ways to do it more permanently through some of these results that you're learning from, right?
Well, the thing that's cool too is I'm sure we've all done experiments out in our garden, but there's so many variables that are hard to control in the garden, right? You just watering might not be totally even. The shading might be slightly different depending on where you put things in the garden. Crows or squirrels might come and attack one area and not the other. Yeah, there's just a million things you can't control. But with microgreens, the experiments, the things like lighting, temperature, all this kind of stuff, watering, they're very easy to control. So I can really be pretty sure that whatever it is I'm varying is in fact the cause of any differences that I see. So that it gives me a lot of confidence, and it's kind of a fun little controlled space that I can try these things out in.
Right on. And so everything going pretty well there though too. I saw you just showed that one there. That's really nice.
Yeah, that's chervil. I love doing herbs. Over the course of the winter, I'll definitely do chervil, dill, cilantro, and basil. Those 4 herbs are really fun to have fresh during the winter. And then my wife and I eat salads a lot for dinner, so I'm always growing broccoli microgreens, which are highly nutritious, and pea shoots, also highly nutritious and both very easy to grow. So those are kind of always on my obligatory weekly planting. And then the herbs come and go. And then I do some lettuce and other things too.
Right on. So is that pretty much primarily what you're up to now that the fall is kind of winding towards winter here?
Well,
let me got any other things going on with your other gardens?
Oh my God, this might be a stupid project, but I don't know. I'm starting to take in what I call pepper orphans. These guys. So I'm trying to overwinter a bunch of peppers. So literally, I just totally took all the harvest just recently of some of the sweet peppers. Like this is a Jimmy Nardello. You'd never know it, but this is literally just the stalk. There's one bud that I can see here, one stem. So that means there's a bud, and that's going to be enough to start this thing regrowing. There might be additional ones here that I can't see, some bud tissue that may sprout. So anyway, I just dug out the roots. I'm going to basically try to keep it in a bonsai state, which means like every 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to be like probably repotting it and trimming off some new growth, keeping it very small. Yeah. But I've got this soft spot in my heart for these little pepper orphans this year. So I brought in a whole bunch of peppers. So they're going to take up a lot of my space. I'll probably be cursing them out in March because it's still going to be too cold to put them out. And they're going to be competing for all my light space. But anyway, I'm having mercy on a bunch of peppers this winter. And I'm eggplant too, some basil. I'm trying a bunch of different things, just bringing it all inside right now.
Doing some overwintering
inside. I'm obviously not expecting fruit, but I am just trying to overwinter them to get them to a better starting place in the spring.
Yeah. You'll have a nice head start with them. You won't have to redo seeds and do all of that. They'll just be ready to go once they're ready to head outside, right?
Yeah, the basil is okay. The basil I do grow for leaves. I in around September when things are still looking really healthy, I take cuttings from one of my basil plants. I think it's a Everleaf Tall Tower, and I root the cuttings in water. They root really easily when the basil's really healthy, and then I pot them into pots and I just harvest off of those all winter long, which is amazing. I have noticed I've tried to cut other kinds of basil like in October after the weather's cooled down and they don't look as good and they don't seem to root as well. So you have to get it, at least in my experience, you have to get it while the plants are still healthy and vigorous, like around September, mid-September, end of September. And then they root really well. They grow into a pot. I've got them in like 1 gallon pots. And, I'm just trimming them to keep them down to size. But when I trim, it's a harvest of basil for my kitchen. So it's a lot of fun this time of year. It's a whole different vibe in gardening, but it's that indoor thing, as most of our outdoor stuff starting to go.
We just can't stop. We just got to keep going. And so, like you said, with these ones, sometimes we just want to keep some things alive. And same thing for me, though, too, is I've got to go out and select a couple of my pepper plants. And it's one of the ways I want to continue our series we've been doing this last year on my Urban Gardener Ultimate Pepper Growing Guide that we've done. So I want to do some overwintering myself as well, too, as we move into next season for that whole video series as well. So I got to go out and pick out
we can compare notes on what worked and what didn't and how they come out of the winter and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Well, right on, Mark. It's about that time. Let's take a break here real quick.
We're not here to talk about peppers, are we, this week? We're here to talk about garlic.
That's right. So let's take a break here real quick, and we'll be right back to get this monthly gardening book club started.
All right. See you in a minute.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
All right. Here we are back at it again. It is time for our Monthly Gardening Book Club. All right, Mark. Here we are. It's time for the monthly gardening book club. This month we're featuring The Garlic Companion by Kristin Graves. Right on. What a great book, huh?
Oh
Just so
man, yeah, and
awesome, so full of great pictures and
salivating.
recipes and all of this sort of stuff, all centered around. I know both me and you really love growing garlic. It's one of our favorite crops to grow. So this was just a really awesome book to be able to dig into this month.
Oh yeah, this is such a rich and lively book around so many aspects of garlic. I mean, not just the planting, but I would say Kristin Graves has a whole garlic lifestyle, a whole lifestyle built around garlic. So I can't wait to explore it with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Again, like I said, just a really, really wonderful book. I didn't really know what I was getting into when I got this book, but yeah, just so full of just really great information, history, planting tips, and like I said, just loads and loads of like really great looking recipes. So we've got a
Yeah,
lot to talk about here today.
I know that was the surprise. I'm just going to give this a pitch for the holiday season because this book, if
Right.
you know anybody who
Absolutely.
loves garlic, plant a gardener, but also a cook because it's loaded with recipes. It's a beautiful book. It would make a great holiday gift. Just saying, because that's the time of year we're in.
That's right. That's right. You got it. That's what you got to do, especially with our books that we're featuring here on our monthly gardening book club. You know, these are all of our books, especially this one here and all of the other ones that make great gifts. You know, that's what. So definitely go out and follow those links. I do have a link below, as we always do, to get a copy of this book. So get one for yourself, get one for a friend, and yeah, enjoy some great garlic knowledge for sure in
Yeah,
this
all
book.
of our books that we do on this show are Enoch and Mark approved. So
That's
you can
right.
confidently
That's
get
right.
any of these books for your friends, relatives, garden people in your life and know that it's gonna hit.
Right on, right on. So you ready here? Should we welcome in the garlic goddess,
Yes,
Kristin
our
Graves,
very
to
own
this
garlic
show?
companion. She's gonna be our garlic companion today.
That's right, that's right. Here we are. Let's welcome in Kristin Graves to the show. Thank you so much for being here
Hey,
with us
Kristen.
today. Awesome to have you here.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm glad it finally worked out. We've been trying to do this for a while, so
Yeah,
happy that
yeah,
November was our month.
Yeah, it's maybe a tiny bit of downtime, although is there ever downtime in a garlic farmer's life?
I
right.
like to say like January. I'm
Okay.
pretty flex from January to March, but yeah, like it's
Yeah,
at least it's not as crazy as what our growing season is. Like our growing season's long done by now.
Yeah,
But at this point, now we're moving into our holiday markets, and so I sell a lot of garlic products as well. So this time's actually quite busy.
right.
But it's at least indoor work. It's totally different. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for carving out some time to be with us today.
oh, I'm
Absolutely,
excited.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, right on. So, well, here, just to get us started, for those of you, for those folks who are watching who haven't met you before, tell us a little bit about yourself here and, just a little bit of history.
Yeah, so my name's Kristen and I'm from Alberta, Canada. So we have a little bit of a different growing season up here.
Mm,
Um,
Mhm.
but I grew up on a farm, so I'm the fifth generation on our farm. We've done every generation's done something different though. We've had pigs, there's been cattle. My parents have always done
Right.
grain. We do hay. Like there's always tons of
mm.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in that world and I really, really loved our farm, but I never really pictured myself actively farming ever.
Yeah.
I actually had a career in healthcare. So when I was 18, I left
Mm.
the farm and moved up to the city or our big city. It's probably not much compared to where you guys are, but I was an x-ray tech. So I worked at a trauma hospital for about 10 years. And then
Wow.
at that point, those things really start to wear on you. Like I was for my own mental health, I wasn't sleeping at night. Like it just really started to affect me. So I made a change and started this big garden out at our farm. So the plan originally was just like a CSA structure. I think my first year I had about 15 friends and family who took pity on me and signed up for my CSA. But so I did just a variety of vegetables, and I had a lot of fun with it. You know, I didn't just grow carrots. I grew like 3 or 4 different varieties and colors of carrots. And so I really got to explore that. And then after the first season, I decided that this is actually where my passion lies and where I wanted my life to go. So I quit my job in healthcare and went back to the farm fully. At the time, I was doing just the CSA, and then I started working with some restaurant partners as well. But it was really obvious that it was super seasonal, right? So up here, our growing season is quite short. We have about 4 months, really.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, and so trying to, somehow put 4 months worth of work into stretching it out into a full year to justify not having an off-farm job, it just wasn't really working, and it was so much work. There was no way that I could even put more into it. Like I was doing everything I could. So that's where this idea of making some kind of value-added product was something from the garden. You know, I wanted a farm-based business. I wanted something that kept me connected to our land, and something that also connected that, that local food, just everything about it. I love that the way that local food can bring people together, and whether that's a chef and a producer, or that's a customer with their farmer, or even just a family sitting around a table, like local food has so much power in it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where garlic comes into the story. I know this is like a long story short kind of thing, but it's very much like I needed something that could take me year round. So by doing a value added product, then I was able to shift my business instead of just 4 months into the market seasons, and then into the holiday seasons. And then it slowly evolved from there. My first year I planted, I think 100 bulbs of garlic, and decided that it grew really well in Alberta, which is shocking. Then from there, I went to about 1,000 bulbs, and then jumped exponentially. I've now, like last year, we harvested around 75,000 bulbs.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So
how much acreage is that, just to give us an idea?
About 5 acres.
Okay. Wow.
So it is spaced out though, because I do use equipment. I have machinery that helps me with the harvesting and the seeding and everything. So we have our beds spaced out enough that we can get a tractor down the rows. So it's not quite tight together like a garden might be, but it usually is around 5 acres.
Wow, that's crazy.
It has very much taken over my life. Like I know you guys said. I know you guys said that I have
too,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Do you still do the regular vegetable CSA, or are you completely garlic now?
So I'm completely garlic now.
Wow.
I did both for quite a while. And then last year was the first year that I decided that it's one or the other. I can't keep doing both, because my garden in itself was also 4 acres. Like it was just way too much. I have no idea how I sustained that for as long as I did. Yeah. But so I now have shifted completely over to the garlic. I still grow certain things for local restaurants here as well. Mostly garlic scapes, though. I get really excited about chefs who want to use our garlic scapes on their menus. So, and then I also, I guess it was last fall, I wrote the book, or it came out last year. So that's also another side of, this on-farm business that's kind of a bit abstract. It's not exactly what you would expect from a farm.
Right.
Yeah, so I love the title, the companion, because it seems the book is a treasure trove of so many different things. Tell us about how you came to title it that, and how that fits. Why you felt like that was a good title for the book.
We went through a few. Originally, it was going to be some kind of, like garlic celebrations or festival of garlic. Like we tried really hard to promote the fact, or promote that part of it. And you'll notice in the book, there is a lot that's centered around having these gatherings. And again, it comes back to that, what I said about local food having power and like bringing people together. That's what's really what I am so passionate about. So we wanted something to kind of reflect that. And then as I was writing, there was so much that just kept going out. I actually didn't even realize how much I knew about garlic until I started putting it on paper. And then it was like, wow, this is, we didn't know we needed to have this little offshoot about the history of garlic, but here we go. And here's some folklore to throw in there.
Right,
And then,
exactly.
yeah. So then that's kind of where it came down to, that this is a, all consuming, all encompassing companion is the word that fits for that.
Yeah, it's a really it's a great umbrella of a term, because it's a great umbrella of a book. There's a lot in there.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's hard to, like, it's not just a cookbook. It wasn't just a growing book. Like, it was kind of, we needed something that fit both, right? To kind of bring it all together.
Yeah, there's definitely a good variety of information, and you kind of said there too as well that you didn't realize how much you actually knew about garlic. But what was what was something again that you were learning about garlic? I mean, I'm sure you did a lot of research in the book as well too. What was something that you learned that you didn't know prior to writing this book?
I found, like, the first chapters of the book is all about the history of garlic, and then it does move into some more of the folklore with it. And I found that information fascinating. First of all, because it's such like, it's one of the oldest cultivated crops in the world, and you can actually map its journey around the globe as people, they traveled, or they, like, nomadic tribes would use it as currency, which I thought was super cool. Sadly, it's not used as currency anymore, or I would be a super rich woman right now, but here we are. But, it was fascinating to watch how it did, or to read about how it could move across the globe, and even to, like, more recent years where people would immigrate across the ocean to North America here, and they would bring a little piece of the old country with them. And lots of times that old country was their garlic or their spices or their herbs, if they could get them to grow here. And being somebody that comes from, our farm is very generational, and we hold very strong to those traditions in our family. I think that's really cool that you have this vegetable that's essentially a family heirloom, and you're bringing it across the world with you.
Yeah, what an amazing thing to be almost like a steward or a curator of, right? This whole, not only family heirloom, but a global tradition of touching this crop, and in a way, because it's a clone. I teach gardening at school, and I always tell my kids, this clove is actually the same plant that somebody 5,000 years ago may have touched. So it's like, it's got that kind of linkage to the past, which is really exciting.
Yeah, totally. And, if you want to even take it one step further, like, you're here in your own garden, which can be a very small piece of land, but yet, like, you're part of something so much bigger. If you start imagining how many other people are growing the same plant, or have grown, and generations that came before you. And it's just that nice, I don't know, that's like, that just means so much to me, because, like I said, our family is such a big part of who I am and what I'm doing and where I'm doing it. And
yeah, tell us about that. So 5th generation. I know you talk a lot about your mom and your dad in the book. You mentioned your maybe great grandmother's digging fork. There's references to the past. Obviously, your mom and dad are key figures in terms of inspiring you in different ways. Tell us about being part of a farming family.
It's a family farm is unique for sure. There are some really great things for it. There are some really challenging parts of it. If you've ever had to work with family, it's not for the faint of heart. And I say that as lovingly as I can. My dad and I get along great, but some days it's just a lot, right? But it is a really unique thing that's not a lot of people nowadays get to experience. So one thing that I really love is that our farm, like, we've farmed the same land for over a century now. And so we know that land extremely well. And we're really, we're committed to a lot of conservation projects on our farm. So we're restoring wetlands, and we're trying to recreate food forests down by our riverbeds. We keep a lot of parts of our farm wild for, natural habitats for a lot of different animals and ecosystems. And in our efforts, we're actually seeing the positive responses to that. So, other people who maybe are only on that piece of land for their lifetime, or maybe their children's lifetime, it takes time to see that stuff, right? So you don't exactly get to notice that. But whereas we've been there for 5 generations, like, we actually are seeing the cause and effect. And not only that, but now teaching for future generations. Like, I have a niece who's 5, and we love to take her down to the river and show her exactly what each plant is and why they're there, and the animals and the deer and whatnot, right? So that part is really cool. And I know that that's kind of the conservation part isn't exactly our farm per se, but like we also get to know that same knowledge about the fields that we're growing in, and where it holds water or why it holds water. And we have beds that they used to be part of the river, and then in the 70s it kind of changed course, so we know why the grass is like that or how to go around it. Or, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's very you get such an intimate knowledge to your land, and then that also helps you grow better in the long run.
Yeah, wow, what a deep reserve of memory there. It's beyond just your own experience. It goes back to the generations and the stories that were told.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah, one of the things.
Well, I
go
was
ahead.
just going to say, heavy burden on your niece to be 6th generation or not? I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. We're developing the next generation, right? Yeah.
True. But speaking as the 5th generation, that's one thing I will say in credit to my parents is we never felt that burden. It was never forced upon us. And to be honest, I feel like I personally needed time off the farm. Like, I spent 10 years away from the farm. And then when I came back, I appreciated it that much more. It was my choice. I was never forced into it. I do wish that they had maybe forced me to learn how to operate equipment a little bit easier, because when you're 30, it's a lot harder to learn than when you're 16.
Right.
But at the same time, like, it was such a gift to us that they gave us, that we weren't forced to do something. Like, I was able to choose it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really like that. And really interesting. I found interesting though too in that the idea that you did make this decision to step away from the idea of farming and all of that. Like you said, you spent 10 years away and all of that. Tell us a little bit about what it was really that drove you back. I know you kind of briefly talked about it, but what drove you back after so many years, away from the farm, to deciding, hey, I want to be this 5th generation farmer, and I want to do this sort of thing, before garlic even came into play?
Yeah. So a lot of it, it kind of came out of necessity almost. I was suffering from night terrors, and I was riddled with anxiety and panic attacks from my job. And it was, like I said, it had really taken a toll on me, and I needed a change. So at the time, I was just, kind of figuring it out. I wasn't really sure what I wanted from it, but fate works in certain ways, or mysterious ways, and like, you never really know what's going to happen. But at the same time, that year, I had taken a bunch of time off to help on the farm for harvest, like for grain harvest. And so I had 6 weeks off, and I was at the farm, and I was feeling better, and I had a garden for the first time. And it was all these things that just kind of clicked together. And I remember being there and thinking, I wish I could do this every day. Like, I don't want to have to go back to work. And I voiced that to a really good friend of mine, and she just looked at me and she was like, do it. Like, just do it, because you're super passionate. Like, look at how much you're smiling about this. Like, you have to do this. And so I did end up working for another year after that. Like, my first year with 5th Gen, I did, I worked evenings, and I would come out and farm during the day, and I was doing both. And by the end of the first season with my CSA, I then decided, like, I had to do one or the other. So I quit my job, and it was terrifying, but it turned out okay. And it's funny how at the time that felt like the hardest thing, and yet it turned into the most wonderful thing. I found so much passion and fulfillment in this life, and it's hard to even imagine my life without 5th Gen or garlic or the farm or anything like that. But you just sometimes you don't know those things until you actually are doing them, right?
Yeah. And I really, again, too, as I was reading that part of the book, as you were talking about that, making that transition, again, you said that you worked in like emergency rooms and things like that. And made me think of a conversation we had just a few weeks back with our friend from the Urban Farmstead, Kyle. And he's a firefighter. So, very similar kind of stories coming from him about, the stress of the job, the type of things that you see, having to kind of carry that stuff around with you and bring that stuff home and all of that, where he found a relief was in his gardening and building out his raised beds and building his garden and growing this really great garden, to building gardens out at his firehouses to share with other firefighters. And they all find this kind of similar type of, um, you know, just, a garden just kind of helps us out in that sort of sense when we're dealing with heavy things and stuff. And I just find that story so interesting, again, on your part, their part as well, too, that you kind of, find a relief from those types of stressful jobs in growing plants. And I just think that's awesome.
It's funny how common it is. And I know a
Mhm.
lot of people, since I've started sharing my story, they've reached out and said similar things, like they're from
Mm.
healthcare or first responders of some kind, and they've turned to some kind of green industry new
Yeah.
career, right? Whether that's, I mean, I went to farming, some people do horticulture, like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I don't know the full science of it, but I do really believe that there is something to be said about when your hands are busy, right? Like you've got those little tasks, whether you're weeding or you're picking beans or peas or whatever, like your hands are busy and your mind, it just helps you work through it in a different way. So it's not just spiraling, right? And there's like so many things that say there's healing properties in the soil. And if you actually ground yourself into the earth, and when you start looking at all that, it kind of makes sense that people who are suffering with trauma, that they are turning to these in different outlets, I guess, and it's beneficial, like hugely beneficial for them.
Yeah.
That's cool. We've all found our solace in the garden, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
I want to show an image from the book. First of all, and maybe you can talk a little later about the photography. It's very beautiful, and it's very I call it like nostalgic noir. It has a real like feel to it. It's got
Right.
a lot of feeling. But this image kind of stopped me in my tracks, and you referred to it a few times. It is you. Let's see if we can perched on a ladder behind this enormous wall of garlic, the garlic wall. Please tell us more about that and about how that impacts your life.
This actually is my favorite thing to talk about when it comes to growing garlic. So thank you for asking this question. When I started, my crop size started increasing. I ran out of space to dry my garlic. I had just like a
Yeah.
very small, to be honest, it was an old clothes rack. Like it held
Okay.
100 or so bulbs, right? And it worked great. Like for a small garden size crop, like it was perfect. But then it quickly got out of hand, and I didn't have anywhere to dry my bulbs. So it's actually my dad's idea. And we strung up cables between the studs in our machine shed.
Oh yeah.
And we actually have a lean-to built on one side. So the reason it was built that way is just so that we can actually drive a tractor and equipment right through it. So it's open on both ends. What's great about that is that it naturally draws air in. So it acts as a wind tunnel.
Mhm.
And if you've ever tried to dry your garlic, you'll know that you need to have pretty good airflow in order to keep things
Yes.
going, right? And like we have other spots where I have fans going, and there's always a way around it, but it's so great to be able to have this passive airflow or this passive way of using it. And it ends up exactly what I needed. So the wall is about 20 feet high and about 100 feet long. That's the original one. My crop is now about 4 of those. So we did eventually take over the entire machine shed, and
Yeah.
whether my parents like it or not, like the
Not
combine
just the
comes
wall
out.
anymore.
Yeah. The garlic has to go in. So like all bets are off there. But it's also like I wasn't expecting it to be, but it turned into this really photogenic and almost bougie kind of style, which we've
Yeah.
had so much fun. I've had tons of photo shoots out there. We've had people come out and take pictures, and it's this side of garlic or farming that I wasn't really expecting to find. A lot of my brand is based on trying to promote these feminine aspects in my business and on the farm, because I'm not really what you would expect from a farmer. When you think, most people hear the word farmer and they expect some old man in plaid and suspenders, and he's got a wheat straw in his
Yeah.
teeth or something, right? So it's just trying to break through that stereotype. And then not only that, but to celebrate our differences. And so I actually did a photo shoot where I was in this giant gold sparkly dress and propped up on the ladder, and it's beautiful. And we had so much fun with it, because it's meant to show that you can be soft and feminine and have all this beauty, and yet you're surrounded by these quite frankly, dirty garlic bulbs. And there's all this beauty to be found amongst the dust and dirt and grime of a farm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really that alone is almost worth, that image alone is almost worth the whole price of the book. It's like, wow, it tells the story for you almost.
Yeah.
I might quote you on that. I like that.
Yeah, one of the things I really like, again, too, getting back to the idea of all the cool, fun research. The beginning of the book starts with some really cool history and even some folklore. I see Eddie was in here saying, "I bet you don't get vampires." And
Yeah.
and that's actually included in the book. You do talk about
Yep,
garlic and vampires, right?
that's right.
Right on.
It's funny because
Excellent.
all of those folklore, like the myths and everything, like they start somewhere, right? And
Mm.
so with the
Yeah.
garlic, people traditionally would make garlic braids and then hang them over an opening to their house. So whether that was a window or a door or next to the door or something like that. And it was one way, it was just a great way of um storing their harvest, but then it ended up also being this superstitious thing where they were keeping out the evil spirits or warding off these bad things. And then where the vampire thing comes in, I mean, of course there's literature that always, like, we all think of Dracula and whatever, right? And he didn't like garlic.
Right.
But even before that, there's lots of research and theories they suggest that because vampirism at one point was thought to be a scourge of the blood,
Mm.
meaning they would get these fevers and like a general malaise and all these
Mhm.
different symptoms, which now, knowing modern medicine, are kind of like the flu, right?
Yeah.
And garlic is known to have a ton of vitamin C and antibacterial properties, and it's an immune boosting superfood. So when people would eat it, they would magically be cured of their vampirism. And then all of a sudden it was this, the idea that vampires are kept away by garlic and whatever. But really, it was probably just they ingested it and their immune system was happy, and then they got over their cold or their flu.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. Like, that's one thing that I found really interesting when I was researching it, was just how much, I don't want to say fact, but where, where all of these myths start from, there is something that, we can explain, or like there's a reason for that, right? And it was
Mhm.
just really interesting.
Yeah, I found
That's
also
cool.
interesting too, as a side note on that too, is that also leads into garlic for health, because that's, again, there's some really great health benefits to garlic as well, so a lot of that are kind of connected in a way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, there's countless things. Like, it's good for your circulatory system. It's, at one point they would use it to treat topical illness, or not illnesses, but topical lesions. Like, at one point they tried to even
Mhm.
treat leprosy with it. So
Wow.
Oh,
it's
wow.
it's
Yeah.
really interesting. And like I mean, that's a episode all in itself to go into all those things. But it's so cool how much of a powerhouse just one tiny little vegetable can be.
The phrase that I remember from your book was Russian penicillin. I had never heard that before, and that was, you said, apparently after World War II, and penicillin was low.
That's right. Yeah. And so they would feed garlic to their soldiers, because penicillin was in short supply. And so that's where that name kind of came from, especially because, most of us are pretty familiar with red Russian garlic, right? It's a very common variety.
Mhm.
So it kind of all just comes together. Like, it was very prevalent for them. And at one point it was thought to be peasant food because it was so um, popular, or like it was just everywhere. So people,
Yeah,
it
really
wasn't
abundant.
elite. Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
abundant. Thank you.
Yeah.
So then that's also why they would say that, is because they, like, everybody had garlic, so they would just eat it, and then it would help cure whatever.
Mm, amazing. Can you talk a little bit about the cookbook part of it? Because I mean, that's one of the things I actually really like about the way the book is ordered is it starts with all the tempting good stuff first, in a way. Like, the main part of the book is all these incredible recipes, and then later on is like, here's how to grow it, which is, I mean, that's a very intuitive way. We often get lured into growing something by a tasty dish, right? We eat something, we're like, oh my God, this is the best carrot I've ever had. I got to learn how to grow this. So I like how you ordered it. obviously you're very committed to cooking and experimentation. You probably hobnob with a lot of chefs. Tell us about how all these recipes came to be.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. I do work closely with a lot of chefs, which I wasn't expecting to do when I started my business. I actually had no intent to work with restaurants at all. And then a few years ago, a local chef called me up and said, "Hey, I'm opening a restaurant. Do you want to grow for me?" And so
Mm,
that's kind of what snowballed it from there. And at one point, my entire garden was going to his restaurant, and I would just show up with whatever was in
wow.
season. And then my favorite thing that this chef had ever said to me was, the garden dictates the menu, not the other way around.
Mm,
So if we got
Mm,
hailed up, because
yeah.
I mean, Alberta has very temperamental weather, and nothing is ever guaranteed when you're growing outdoors.
yeah.
And he was the first chef that I ever came across that truly understood that. So if there was a problem, like, they would happily work around it, or find a way to um, utilize different parts of the plants that I wasn't used to. Like, we made oh, I can't even remember at this point. There's so many different examples, but like using squash blossoms, and then using radish pods, and um, like nasturtiums, they would make capers out of the seeds, and all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
different things, which is really intuitive, or like really inventive, and they just had a lot of fun with it. So point to all of that was, I decided I really liked that. And I'm such a foodie, and I love just hanging out in the kitchen and being nosy, essentially, and being like, what are you making over there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice. Like, lots of times they'll share with me and then tell me how to do it, or like explain why they're doing it. And so I've learned a lot that way. So definitely it has influenced a fair amount of my book. With that being said, I would say that most of those recipes are actually inspired by the women in my family. So I grew
Mm,
up
Mm,
in a house
there you
where
go.
food is love, and there was always an open seat at every table, and there was
mm.
never like like, there was always strays coming in, like neighbors who didn't have somewhere to go, they'd come over for supper or
Wow,
Christmas
that's
dinner or something
beautiful.
like that. um yeah, and so I grew up watching my mom and my grandmas and my great aunt cook, and lots of these recipes either stemmed from theirs or were inspired by them. There are some pretty unique ones. So one that's coming to mind right now, especially with it being almost holiday season, there's a savory shortbread cookie recipe. And so that's actually
Oh,
my grandma's recipe. And then I added some garlic and
Oh,
different
wow.
herbs in
Yeah.
there, which people are always a little bit unsure of. And when I told my grandma I was doing it, she actually laughed at me, and she was like, "My shortbread?" And I had to explain, "Yes, grandma, this is happening, but it's actually
I'm
really good."
reinventing it.
She's like, you put garlic in my
Yeah.
shortbread?
I think she was a little bit horrified, but in the end,
What
she
won't
came
you?
around and she decided it was good. But that's just an example of it, where it's this family recipe that does hold a lot of meaning to me. And then I've just like you said, reinvented it to fit with the garlic. And I do a garlic club in the summer. So we do like a 3-month monthly box, basically. And each month I send out different fresh garlic and different products that we make. And it's a nice way to connect people with how their food, specifically garlic, is growing.
Mm,
And with it, I always send out recipes. So I'm always looking for these unique ideas or new ways to use garlic scapes, for example, because nobody knows how to use garlic scapes when I first meet
Yeah.
them.
right.
And then, so that's kind of where a lot of this comes from too, is I had a lot of recipes already stockpiled from our garlic club that were already,
Yeah.
tested, and our members really liked them, or they had a little bit of feedback on them or something like that. So
Mm.
it was helpful when it came time to actually write the recipes down.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
I will
Any
say for myself that I've already cooked the
yeah.
roasted carrots with black garlic glaze 2 times in the last week and a half.
2
So
times.
I'm
Wow.
all
That's
over
high
that one. That
praise.
one's really good.
Yeah, even more so as he cooked some for himself and then also took some to a dinner party,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I wanted to try
Oh,
it first. It looked really good. I was salivating when I'm reading it. It's like, all right, I'm going to try this tonight. Went and got the stuff. Luckily, my grocery store has black garlic. And maybe you can talk about that in a second, because people
Yeah,
might
that's
not
what I
know
was going to
what
ask
black
about.
garlic is. Anyway, my grocery store happened to carry it. I was like, all right, I'm cooking this tonight to try this. I was telling my wife, I got this great new cookbook book that we're reviewing. It's got some great recipes. And then it was like such a big hit. I was like, okay, dinner party late in the week. We're doing the same thing over again.
that's honestly the ultimate compliment. So thank you. If
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
dinner
no,
party
that's
worthy, it's good.
And I may, you know, I'm going to try things like the black garlic simple syrup. That's a little more adventurous. So I'm waiting. I'm easing into some of those.
Yeah, that's fair. There are some out there recipes, but you know, we figured if you're gonna make a garlic cookbook, like you might as well have fun with it. And everybody knows how to make like savory garlic dishes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So let's have fun. And we did put in a few, you know, like there's the simple syrup. There's also a black garlic chocolate chip cookie recipe, the shortbread cookie recipe. My personal favorite for the more unique ones is the black garlic cheesecake. And now that one, I know like people always raise a little bit of an eyebrow when I tell them like put this garlic in your cheesecake. But when I made it for the first time and I was testing out the recipe, I had was getting together with some friends of mine, and so we had a girls' night, and I showed up with cheesecake because I always show up with cheesecake. And I didn't say anything about what kind it was. I just gave it to them. And you know what? They ate it all. They loved it. There wasn't even a crumb left. And then nutty or maybe it was maple. Like, what is that? And then I was like, oh, it's garlic. And by the way, I'm writing a book.
That is so good.
Yeah. So that one is like kind of a sneaker. Like people don't expect to really like it, but it just somehow it works with the cream cheese and it's delicious. If I do say so myself.
Okay. That'll go on the list.
Yeah.
Myself, I've yet to try black garlic, but tell us a little bit more about this variation of the garlic.
Yeah, so it's actually a cooked garlic. So it starts off just as a regular white garlic bulb, but it's a cooking process that slowly caramelizes the sugars. So some people do like to say that it's a fermented garlic, and technically it's not. It's a Maillard process, which is the browning of the sugars. But it's close enough, you know, to a ferment. It's cooked at a controlled heat and humidity for, well, traditionally it was like months. Now with technology and everything, it can be whittled down into a few weeks. So it takes us about 3 weeks to make it. But the resulting flavor is something like none other. Like it's got this big umami flavor, and it's almost like a caramel or balsamic molasses. Like it's totally different. It's somewhat sweet. And it is a really strong flavor, but it's not garlic at all. Like it's not what you would expect from a garlic bulb. So the cool thing is that because of that, you can go sweet or savory with it. Like it does pair really well with chocolate of all things. Or like on a charcuterie board, it's great because you can put it with dark chocolate. You could put it with blue cheese. You could put it with a cured meat of some kind. And like, it just kind of goes with everything. But then you also like, you can eat it raw. It's got twice the amount of antioxidants in it. Like it's just this really, really powerful ingredient.
Yeah, it seems I've got to give it a try. It looks very interesting when it comes down to it, and looking through all your different recipes, some seem really interesting for sure. Like you said, some really unique things. How about again, another one that I see as well too is smoked garlic. Is it similar? What's the difference there?
So we make a smoked garlic, which is like a roasted garlic that we do on a barbecue, and then we smoke it afterwards. Now that recipe is not in the book. I'm sorry, that's one of our trade secrets. But it's essentially it's totally different flavor though. Like every time you prepare garlic, like depending on how much you cut it, it can drastically change the flavor or the taste. So if you eat a garlic whole or leave it whole and then roast it, it's actually quite mellow.
Yeah.
Right? Like it really gets this velvety kind of buttery flavor. The more you cut it, so if you've crushed it or you've diced it or something like that, there's actually a reaction that happens with the air and the oxygen in the air, and then that's what gives garlic its heat. So if you want a really spicy garlic, you should mince it or grate it and then let it sit for 10 minutes and let it really oxidize. And that's going to give that really intense flavor. So by roasting it, that's kind of like the least we'll say hot flavor, right? Caramelized flavor. And then if you want to go even one step further, that would then be the black garlic, but it's totally different. Like it's kind of like apples and oranges.
Right on. Excellent.
Can we go out to the garden for a minute and talk about like your top? If someone's like, all right, I'm going to grow garlic for the first time, or I haven't had success growing garlic, I need to up my garlic game. What are top tips? What do you say is like this to have success? You have to do X, Y, and Z, or as you Canadians say, X, Y, and Z.
We still say XYZ. It's, it's the phrase.
Okay.
Usually my top pieces of advice that I can give people is it comes down to the type of garlic that you're growing. That's usually the number one thing. So for us here in Alberta, we're actually in a zone 3. So yeah, it's cold, or it can get cold. So we grow hardneck garlic, and I have technically grown softneck garlic, but it was not very successful. And like it wants a moderate climate. It wants a warm climate, right? So it doesn't do well here for us. The nice thing is that there's so many different types of garlic or varieties of garlic that lots of times it can come down to just trial and error of which one works best for your zone. And so, like I said, for us in a colder zone, we're looking at hardneck garlic. Warm zones look at softneck garlic. And then those of you that are in that really nice middle ground where you can grow anything, you might get away with both.
I know I can.
Yeah. See, I'm jealous. That sounds really nice.
Yeah.
But then the next thing that I would say is your let's say tip number 2 is to find bulbs that are growing locally, like seed bulbs that are growing as local to you as possible. And the reason for that is that they're already acclimated to your climate, like your subclimate, right? Or your microclimates. Me trying to order bulbs from California and getting them shipped up here and then expecting them to grow, like it's not really going to work well. It wants, at that point, it's a clone of the parent plant and it wants what it's used to. So if it's used to hot, dry, long seasons, it's not going to get that where I am. So that's a big part, is just trying to find your bulbs from a local source where that they're, you don't want anything that's been bruised or damaged, and you want to make sure that they're disease free. So find like a reputable source, but look for something that's grown close to home. And then the third thing is crop rotation. So that's usually it's good practice for anything that you're growing, any garden that you're growing. But with garlic especially, it can be really prone to fungal diseases, which are in the soil, right? Or other soil-borne diseases. I shouldn't say only fungal. So if you're able to rotate your crops, and it doesn't have to be a lot, just, cut your, divide your garden up into thirds or quarters and just keep moving it over each year. Then you're kind of already setting yourself up for success, because you're eliminating those risks, right? And you're putting it into soil that hasn't had anything that's, garlic or any other allium that's been in there. So you're already that much less likely to have a problem down the road, if that makes sense. Those are probably my top 3 tips to growing garlic.
Wait, are you also of the school, the big clove equals big head?
Yes and no. I do think like what you plant is what you get is usually a pretty general, it does actually come true usually. But with that being said, again, it comes back to the parent plant. So if you're planting big cloves from a bulb that only had 2 cloves, you're going to end up with a bulb with only 2 cloves.
I see.
So you want to look at it from a whole. So your seed bulbs, like for us, when we're picking our seed bulbs, we're looking for our biggest, best ones, right? They're firm. They don't have bruising. They don't have any sign of disease on them. They usually we look for bulbs that have at least 5 cloves. And then next year, our bulbs should again have at least 5 cloves. Like it's not perfect, but that's usually how that works. And then that also for us, like it being that it's a business, we're trying to get as much out of our crop as possible, right? So there's nothing to say like a 2 clove bulb is still going to taste fantastic. Trust me, it's going to be great.
Right.
I'm just very picky about what my garlic looks like because I'm trying to sell it, or even when I'm making products, it takes the same space to grow a bulb with 2 cloves as it would 6 cloves. So, trying to just get more out of what we can.
Yeah. I usually, for me, in a sense too, is I'm usually just more growing for the sense of, abundance. I want a bunch of it versus worrying about whether they're big and they're great, solid. And again, it's different for you because you're selling and you got to look for those things. But for us home gardeners and that sort of thing, we don't have to really worry too much about the big sizes. Just make sure that we're growing plenty of it because it's all going to taste great, no matter how, like you said, whether you got 2 cloves, 3 cloves, however it works out. Even if they don't even split, sometimes you can still get some good garlic out of the ones that don't split right.
Yeah,
Real quick
exactly.
though, let's run through some questions. We got some questions from our audience here real quick, and it seems we kind of got into talking about this. Let's see. Jersey Girl is asking, the sea garlic I bought was off-colored, yellow cloves. Would it be worth planting?
Um, that one, it can depend sometimes on the variety. Like each clove or each variety kind of has a different color of clove. So
Yeah.
without having all that information, I can't give like 1,000% yes or no. Like we planted Persian Star one year and it was actually more yellow than I'm used to. That's what's coming to mind. With that being said, though, like yellow can also be a sign of early signs of rot. So you want to just be careful with that. So if they, you know, maybe sometimes I give bad advice because I always feel like what's the harm in trying, right? Like put them in the ground. If
Right.
they don't grow, and here I am saying like only plant your best ones.
Yeah.
But
Right.
again, like it comes down to what do you want to get out of this? Like, is this just a fun thing that you want in your garden and you want to hopefully get some bulbs next year? Then yeah, what's the harm in trying, right? Maybe it's just a variety and you're going to turn out great. If you want
Yeah.
to be particular and you're selling seed down the road or something like that, then you might want to be a bit more careful.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see real quick here. Eddie was asking, I didn't harvest my garlic this summer. Will it multiply for next year like I've heard it will? So yeah, what happens when you leave your garlic in the ground and you don't harvest it up?
It does matter a bit on where you are. So in our zone, our winters come in and, like we get minus 30 degrees Celsius is like
God.
Wow.
that's like pretty
Yeah.
normal, pretty average. So a lot of times those bulbs that were left behind, they do rot just because it's so cold and if it's not protected, right? With that being said, essentially like it will grow next year. But what you have to watch out for is that instead of it being just like one bulb that's going to keep growing, sometimes each clove will then sprout. So you'll end up with multiple little cloves altogether or little bulbs altogether. So I actually have a friend who this happened to recently this year, and she ended up transplanting them, which I don't normally recommend with garlic because it doesn't like to be disrupted. But instead of wasting that bulb that she had forgotten about, she was actually able to separate it into little individual plants, and they weren't anything to write home about later that year, but she did get a harvest off of them. So
right on. And Wickershire asks, Kristin, have you ever found a garlic type or species that was a pain to grow and deal with and something you had to skip on?
for me personally, that was soft neck. It didn't work
Okay.
for me where we were. I have a love-hate relationship with Tibetan. I like to say that because I actually love it. It's got beautiful flavor. It's very robust. It's a great producer.
Yeah.
But it can have up to like 12 or 15 cloves inside. And for something that I'm doing, I want, we grow a lot of music and Red Russian, which has maybe 5 cloves, but they're massive. So when it comes to peeling garlic, that's really easy, right?
Yeah.
The Tibetan, even though it had great flavor, it had so many little cloves that the peeling was kind of a nuisance. So I guess that would be my answer for that one.
Yeah. All right. And kind of back again, you kind of covered this a little bit though. Should I plant smaller cloves that are on the same bulb with my largest bulbs, or toss the smaller cloves? Well, let's not toss them. I
Eat
know
them.
that
Eat
much.
them.
I know that
So
much.
good.
Let's not toss them.
Again, like I personally think that I would plant them just because they're still coming from a big plant. They have those same genes that might happen. A
Yeah.
lot of it does come down to also what you feed it. So garlic does like it can be a heavy feeder, right? So it wants a lot of nitrogen. If you've got compost it when you plant it, put it on again in the spring. And with that and proper watering, like you might be surprised at how big those cloves actually could grow.
Yeah.
You know, I have a little bit of a thought on that too, and that it relates to the difference between hard neck and small neck, soft neck. The hard neck has, you know, a central stalk, and like you said, usually 5 or 6 really nice, meaty cloves, pretty uniform from my experience, cluster around that. The soft neck is very different. It will have an irregular cluster of smaller cloves on the inside, with the bigger cloves tending to be on the outside. So what
It's
I
almost
tend
like
to
an
do,
artichoke.
yeah.
Like it's
Planting the
like
soft
this.
neck is I'll break off those bigger cloves. I'll plant those for my big garlics. Then I'll use the whole core, and I'll often plant that specifically for green garlic. Like I'll leave it for green garlic. So in the spring, I get these nice greens, and I don't care that they grow up really close because I'm going to just chop them down early. They're not going to mature into heads.
Oh, I love that. I love that you just said green garlic. I just got so excited.
Yeah, it's a great taste of garlic in the earliest spring, right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one works for me for soft necks. You know, using the biggest cloves to reproduce bulbs, and then using the inner core, or just eat the inner core, right? That's the other thing.
That's right. Don't toss it.
Don't toss it.
No,
Yeah,
don't
just
toss
don't
it.
toss it.
We all agree on that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Garden Channel Hot Potato asks, Kristin, what's your favorite way to prepare and enjoy eating garlic? What's your personal favorite way?
Oh, that is a hard question. I feel like I have seasonal favorites, if that makes sense. I'm a big fan of garlic scapes. So I personally, I think that has to kind of top it. And with that, my favorite go-to is a pesto with garlic scapes. You can use any green in your garden. It's a great way of using up, you know, even like the beet tops or carrot tops or something. But the garlic scapes just have such a summery flavor. Now, if you're asking about just regular garlic, like plain garlic, I love barbecue roasted garlic. And it's something about the smokiness of the bulbs. And it's just that like, you know, like caramelized flavor in there. And I probably eat way more of that than I ever should admit to eating, but it's delicious.
I have to agree with you. It's probably one of my favorite ways as well, too, for sure. Let's talk just a little bit more again, because you just brought them up there too. Garlic scapes. Again, too, one of the big differences with our two types of garlic, the soft neck and the hard neck, is that the hard neck will produce a flower stalk, and they curl up in these nice little curls and everything. And those are the garlic scapes. You want to talk about those just a little bit more?
Yes, absolutely. So, like you said, the garlic scapes are the flowering part of the garlic plant, the hardneck garlic. So it grows out of the stalk or the middle of the stalk, and it comes up and it curls. And I'll admit, the first time I grew garlic years and years ago, my very first crop, I had no idea what a garlic scape was. And I kept seeing these weird curly things coming out of my garlic. And I had to Google it. I was like, what is wrong with my garlic plant? And Google told me it was delicious, so I should eat it. So I did. And it actually was. It was amazing. And flavor wise, it's still like they can be very hot when they're raw. They can be extremely garlicky. But as they cook, it really mellows down nicely. So I work with a restaurant that actually serves them on as a side dish, and they're just the straight part of them are grilled on the barbecue and served with like this really creamy sauce. It's amazing. You can also make pestos. You can serve them up in we've done like, you know, beer battered zucchini blossoms with them. We've done garlic rings, like an onion ring. Like, it's so neat. And the only downside to them is that it's such a fast season. So they last, like for us, we probably pick all of our garlic scapes within 2 weeks. And that's all 75,000 done by hand. It's very fast. And they last exceptionally well. Like you can freeze them, or you can even just keep them in your vegetable crisper for like months. It's amazing. but it's like that one flavor of summer, you know, kind of like the first bite of fresh dill. I don't know. There's like
Mm.
something about that that's just so good. And
Yeah.
texture wise, they're kind of snappy. So they're like almost like an asparagus or a
Hmm.
green bean or something, right? So yeah, we pick our garlic scapes off so that all of the energy then gets put back down into the roots, right? Because essentially we're growing garlic for the bulb. At least at our farm we are, right? So we want those
Yeah.
bulbs to get as big as possible, and the energy then goes down into the roots, and we get to eat the garlic scapes. It's like a bonus crop. It's great. If you were to leave them, eventually that flower does open up, and it's not a true flower. It's kind of like I don't know. I call them little garlic nuggets. So it's very, very tiny, tiny cloves of
Yeah.
garlic, which you actually can propagate your bulbs with, but it does take extra years. So I usually do it with my red Russian bulbs, and typically, you know, the first year you'll get these tiny little rounds that are only about this big. And then you pick them out. Well, we have to take them out because of the winter and then replant them. And you go through this whole process a few times. And it usually takes about 3 seasons to actually get a bulb of substantial size. But
Yeah.
it's a great way of increasing your numbers very quickly because each cluster, like each garlic scape has anywhere between, like some varieties only have 5, but some of them will have up to 1,000. So it just
Right.
depends on the variety a bit, but you can increase your numbers extremely quickly that way. You just have to give that extra little cushion to grow them within the seasons, right?
Yeah.
So that was a great revelation to me because I had tried growing bulbils, but I only went as far as the first year, and I'm like, oh, these are ridiculous. They didn't even form a head. So
Yeah.
throw this experiment out. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, Kristin, thank you. You just gave me the next step. The other thing I really loved about your scapes is you have a picture. They're
Oh yeah.
like little snakes in a way. They wind around your arm when you put them over your arm. So you have a great shot in there of you with this huge arm bracelet of garlic
I did
scapes.
that
I
one
love
year
that.
too. I should have dug up that picture as well. That's
Oh
really good.
yeah.
A garlic
Yeah.
or scape bracelet, right? Isn't that what you
Yeah.
said?
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, sometimes you just like you need your hands free. So
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
you do
Just
what you
cut
got
them
to
and
do.
pop them on and
Yeah.
hang on them. It's really great. I love it.
Yeah, that's
This
such a
here,
good.
John Jude was put in here. Removing scapes also makes the bulbs get larger. Is this true?
Yeah, so that's what we're saying by having the energy redirected back to the bulb. That's
Yeah.
essentially the goal, is that you don't want the flower or the plant to expend all of its energy in opening up a flower. You want it to grow a big, juicy bulb. With that being said, some people think that it's going to be this huge difference. Like you leave your scapes
Right.
on and you're going to end up with these tiny little bulbs, and then you pick them and you're going to end up with these huge ones. It does play a part, but not as big of a part as what you're expecting.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
that's good to
Exactly.
know.
Yeah. That's kind of what I've noticed over the years as well too. Also
Yeah.
too, I am in the middle of you growing the bulbs, doing that. So I'm going into the second season of that this next
Oh,
year
good for
with
you.
some that I did before. But one thing I found was really interesting is I would harvest some garlic scapes, and then I would leave some on the stem and they'd just be sitting over. I got this drying table and all that, and they were sitting over there. They continue to grow
Oh,
and they keep
yeah.
going. That's one of the things I was really fascinated by, is that they were just scapes, and then they still continue to uncurl and unfurl and then produce a flower without even being on the plant, and then you
Wow.
can and grew those boobles out of that as well too. That's pretty strange.
I've noticed that
So,
before, but I can't tell you why. I have no idea why. It's just
yeah.
magic at that point.
It really is. It's like one of those ones where you pick the fruit early and you let it ripen type of thing.
Yeah,
It's that
something like
similar
that.
type of thing, which I just left them and I didn't even think about it. I wasn't even trying to experiment or nothing, but I just came back like a few weeks later to them going, wait a minute, I didn't cut flowers, and here's the full on flowers and bulbils popped out, and I don't know if it fully grew to the potential it would if it was on the plant or not, but I thought that was pretty fascinating.
That's neat. Yeah.
That's curious. Can I
Yeah.
ask you what we haven't touched on? One other topic that I'm really curious about, and it's the whole idea of the garlic gathering. You have a really lovely quote that I wrote down. Food nourishes the body, but a meal nourishes the mind. And then a lot of your book is just kind of kind of like the Martha Stewart of garlic. You're creating these table pieces. You got the hair crowns.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to do that, but still, it's beautiful.
You'd look good in one. You should try.
Yes.
So I'm going to do the black garlic chocolate before I do the crown. But
Okay.
anyway, tell us. I mean, you just these celebrations and sense of hospitality, all based on garlic. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a great part of the book.
Yeah, I think that still comes back to that, local food holds power idea, right? Where like I want to gather around a table. I want to share with our neighbors and have this meaningful experience with people centered around something like that, right? And like I said, I grew up with my mom always having an open spot at dinner, right? So
Yeah.
like I grew up with those big tables and the idea that a meal was meant to be shared with everybody, and that it was not as much about the food, even though of course I do enjoy the food. It's more about like the conversation and the idea that you're all together. And where I come from, like we have this farming community that our farm, being a fifth generation, is just one of many. There's so many families out there that have farmed for generations. And so our grandparents were friends and our dads are friends. And then, we went to school together or something like that. So it's this really tight-knit community that comes together for everything. And I love the idea that you can almost build a business around that, in the sense, not that you're making money off of it, but the sense that you've brought that same those same like traditions to your business.
Yeah.
And so I've done a lot of farm to table dinners. I've like worked with different places here that host them and get to be the the feature farmer or whatever. And it's so great to be able to create these connections with people based around something that you've actually grown yourself. Or like I said earlier, I'm super passionate about our conservation efforts and things like that. And that's just a way of including people in that moment and showing them everything that I've done that entire season, right? So we have a big table set up in front of the garlic wall. Like that's a very visual thing to say, I did this, look at this, and to share it with them, right? And then not only that, but then to also give them something that that like good food, right? Like there's nothing better than good food. And so whether it's some weird out there recipe like black garlic cheesecake, or if it's grandma's recipe, like that means so much. And it's something that you can talk about later too, and share with them and send it home with them. And it all kind of comes down to community. And the crafty part, I worked in a flower shop when I was in high school. So
there we go.
I like playing with flowers. Yeah.
It definitely is. Well, it's an interesting crop in that because you can dry it, it lends itself to all these different kind of crafty uses, like braiding, like arrangements, all these different kinds of things. So it's maybe more flexible. I mean, you can't do that with eggplant very well. Or tomatoes, you're not going to get the same effect. So it's interesting in that it's kind of sculptural and very durable.
Yeah, and there is some like on a deeper level of that, the idea behind these garlic braids, even though I've put these flowers and herbs in them and made them really pretty, they're actually super functional as well, because it's a great way of storing your garlic without actually cutting into your bulb. So it's more than just just the aesthetic, even though it's nice to have these pretty things here. There is actual functional parts to it, except maybe the crowns. I mean, the garlic scape crown is absolutely beautiful, and we had so much fun with that. I felt like I was in the middle of like a midsummer celebration somewhere. But that one is 100% just for looks, I'll admit.
That's fun, and it gives
vibe.
Your book a really different feel. Like I've read a long time ago Ron England's book Growing Great Garlic, and it's just very nuts and bolts, like this is how you grow garlic and this is the soil. And yours is obviously has plenty of tips and then all the recipes, but then it also just has this very artistic side too. That's lovely. That's a great aspect of the book.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Honestly, it's kind of me in a nutshell, right? Like I grow things. I love to cook. I'm very creative and I like to make things. And it just, with it actually being about garlic, it's still very much a book about me, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and again, too, you also mentioned community, and just something I wanted to read from the book here a little bit too. Maybe you can talk just a little bit more about, because you did kind of touch on it just a moment ago. But this is from a section of the book where you say, "How we celebrate garlic at the farm. On our farm, we show our love for growing garlic by sharing it with those around us. Our main intent is to create an open dialogue for prospective growers of all walks of life, from fellow farm producers to backyard enthusiasts. A collective knowledge helps instill a deep-seated appreciation for the flavor-packed bulbs." And then you say, "At the heart of it all is the strong feeling of community. Where I come
Mm,
from, that means having unwavering support from the people who surround you. In my area, we show up for each other. We fight fires
mm,
together, we grieve together, we celebrate new beginnings for each other, and we gather together to share in each other's success. Our neighbors help us commemorate a bountiful garlic harvest, and I am so grateful to be able to share it with them." I thought that was awesome. We like to, really talk about community and the importance of that as well. And I thought that was just such a great point to make in your book here.
Thank you. That one's actually one of my favorite paragraphs in the whole book. And part of that is, without even knowing, but I wrote that in April. And in September that year, we actually had a huge fire on our farm.
oh, wow.
So,
Oh, whoa.
yeah. So, like actually, I totally forgot I had written it. And then when I saw the book for the first time, I actually was holding it and reading through it. And I read that page, and I started crying because I couldn't believe that I had written that part about how we fight fires together. And it's
Yeah.
true, like it had happened before, but to have it happen on our farm, and then our entire community showed up. Even
Mm,
before a fire department got there, like we had dozens of neighbors fighting this fire, and we got it under control. But that just meant so much to me, and so powerful to see that I had
wow.
written this in like a very, um, it just wasn't like something that I'd actually experienced on our farm, right? And then all of a sudden we did, and it just was so much more meaningful that that's who our community is. It's amazing.
Hmm.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
you can't get that kind of stuff in the city necessarily either. So going to that speaks to all that generational connection and just the ways farm communities have traditionally helped each other do all kinds of things.
Absolutely. And I mean, like sometimes it comes out of the fact that, in the city, like you're comparing, the fire department is there and they're going to be there quick and help you. But it took them an hour to get to us because we're that much
Yeah, yeah.
further out. And like
Right.
sometimes your neighbors are the only people you have. So it's this really beautiful thing if you show up for each other, right?
Yeah.
Mm, lovely.
Absolutely. You got any more good questions there, Mark, that you want to ask before we finish up here today?
Well, I do. Let's get back to the photographs because they are so beautiful.
Yeah.
How
Oh
did you come
yeah.
to work with these
Definitely got to
photographers
talk
and
about
get this
that.
kind of? That'll be my last one. Just this kind of image and look that's so cool. It's a really attractive look.
So my whole team that I worked with, this is out of Story Publishing. They're
Yeah.
amazing, all of them. They were so great to work with. The art director right away said they pulled some images from my Instagram account and said this is kind of the look that we want to go for. So one of them was the picture with the gold dress on the ladder, and it
Okay.
all
Yeah.
like that. But that was kind of like the mood board that we had started with, and I love that you had said it was like very nostalgic and looks like feels that way, right? Which is kind of what we were
Yeah.
going for. So like first credit definitely goes out to them. And then I had worked with a local photographer on another cookbook about a year before this all had come out. His name is Don Kim. And they actually came out to the farm to photograph for another book. So I had met him through that, and we'd done some photos. And
Yeah.
long story short, they were looking for a local photographer to work with. So that's who we started working with because even though all the recipes were done in-house in Boston, where the publisher is, there's so many things on the farm that had to be timed perfectly. Like
Yeah. Right.
garlic scapes and garlic bulbs they don't exist at the same time, right? A field full of garlic scapes is not the same field 2 months later when it's like all been
Yeah.
harvested, right? Or even a month later, sorry. So that's why we worked with a local photographer as well. And so he came out, I think 3 times throughout the summer, and I styled the shoots out there. So I had so much fun. Again, that creative little part of me came in where I got to do tablescapes, and I got to put up, a table in the middle of the field and do all these different things. And then at the end of the summer, Michael came out from Boston. And so he's the one that did the bulk of the photos in the book. And we did the big garlic wall, and he showed up at the farm at like 7:00 in the morning, and we were still shooting at 8:30 that night. So it was
Oh
this
my
huge thing.
God.
Wow.
He had so much set up. Like we had such a big shot list to get through. And it's funny, like at the end of the day, they actually have a picture of me sleeping on the table because I was just done.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was an incredible experience, and like their imagery is what brought the whole book to life, right? So I'm
Yeah.
just blown away by what they produce. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's really cool. It really does tell the story well and really draws you in. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's again too. We've featured lots of great books on our monthly book club, and it's always these ones that are just so full of really great pictures. Again, because gardening is, can be very visual as well too. And especially when we're getting such great stuff and great content in there. Is there anything before we do finish up here today that maybe we haven't thought of, or maybe you want to mention about the book?
I feel like I've touched on all of it and then some. You guys really let me
Right.
rattle on about a lot of stuff, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Enoch, I did see, I think we should probably end with something like this.
Oh, yeah,
Serena Noel did have a garlic joke that flashed across. And I
Oh,
don't know
right.
if Jay can get that for us or what, but I think we should probably end with a good garlic joke if that's
Oh, yeah.
available.
I'm a big fan of
Oh,
garden puns of any kind, so
yeah.
bring it
Which one
on.
was? Oh, yeah.
Because
That's
I
funny.
saw
I
it
think we.
flash across and I'm like, oh, that's good. But we were in the middle of stuff. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. What does garlic do when it wants to get away? Escape.
Escape. Boom.
Love it.
That's so great. So fun. Well, really awesome, Kristin. I mean, really an amazing book. Again, when we were talking months ago, even all the way to last year when I first
I know.
when I first
Yeah.
found your book and all of that, I've been looking forward to talking to you about this and getting into it because, again, garlic's one of my favorite things to grow. It was one of those first real learning curves in gardening for me. Everybody loves garlic. And so I had to plant some out. I always mentioned this kind of little story about when I first got started growing garlic. I knew enough that to grow it from the cloves. And so I would I would take the cloves and put them in the little 6-packs to start them with stuff. This was my first year of gardening and growing before I even knew anything about anything. But I love to share this kind of little story that, I was growing them in there, getting them started, sticking them out with my spring garden and all of that. And again, not getting very good results. Mostly, as like Mark said, just getting some good garlic greens out of it, basically. But what was really cool was really, having that be one of those crops that I got to really learn about growing, again, planting them in the fall, letting them do their dormancy through the winter and again to, and growing plenty of them versus, like I was mentioning before, versus having the big bulk. So there's a lot for me to learn in growing garlic. And when I finally succeeded and finally started getting those real good garlic crops, it fastly became one of my favorite ones. So it was really awesome to be able to spend a day with you here today to talk all about garlic and this just really awesome book that you have here.
Yeah, great conversation. Thanks for spending some of your still busy time with us. We really appreciate it.
Enjoyed myself. My pleasure. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, for letting me talk so much about garlic. It was really great.
Yeah. Well, as we said, holiday time is coming up. You can't beat this book for anybody who loves garlic,
That's right. Exactly.
I like the way you think.
I see Serena already put a comment up saying that she's already got it on her Amazon wish list.
Oh my goodness.
So everybody else, you get yourself a copy of this.
Thank you.
And and like I said, it's packed with all sorts of stuff like we talked about today. There's tips, on peeling and separating your hardneck garlic bulbs. There's harvesting and preserving tips and all that sort of stuff as well too. Just packed full of great information, and as well too these just really amazing recipes in here that I'm gonna have to get trying a few of those out here.
Yeah,
myself.
Nick, come on, you're behind the curve.
I know. I got to get on it. I definitely will for some holiday cooking coming up here
There
for
you go.
sure.
You need to try the shortbread cookies.
The shortbread cookies. Yeah, there we go. We'll get that one going for sure. But yeah, everybody here who's watching, link down below in the description to The Garlic Companion by Kristin Graves. And again, Kristin, thank you so much for being here with us today. It was just really awesome to have you here.
Thanks, Kristin.
Oh, I think we might have.
Did we lose her?
We might have froze out, but
I guess that's appropriate for a guest from Alberta.
That's right. That's right. Well, all right. Thanks again, Kristin, and we'll catch all of you guys here in just one moment.
Bye.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants, and author, Saving the World with the Home Garden. Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits. All right, here we are back at it here.
Hey,
Mark, awesome.
That really was an amazing conversation. What a great person, and just a when you have these farming type people, obviously she wasn't a farmer her whole life, but she imbued the spirit of it, and then just brings all that to this book. It's just awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I love it when we get the authors here and talking about their books and all of that, and to get to see the energy that they have and the passion that they have for the things that they do. And she really carries a lot of that, not just passion for growing garlic, but again, continuing that, 5th generation farmer and kind of continuing that legacy as well too, which is such a great part of her story.
Yeah, it's amazing how just this one crop, I mean, it really is like this transcendent crop. She says somewhere in the book that it transcends the seasons, but it transcends history, and it's just so unifying. It's such a unifying thing, and her book is just such a good representation of that. It's like unifies art and the culinary arts and the visual arts and the farming arts, the agricultural arts. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Right on. Nicole Smith Gardening. Good to see you here. It was such a great conversation. I love these monthly book club conversations. There was also a couple of questions that popped in at the very end there, and I was wondering maybe you might be able to answer this one here, Mark. Is potash recommended for garlic?
What I know is garlic is a heavy nitrogen feeder, so usually there's a lot of recommendation for feeding it in the spring, and then phosphorus is really important for root formation. I would imagine a balanced amount of potassium can be helpful, but I don't know off the top if that's really the key nutrient. I think nitrogen in the spring, because you don't want to overstimulate it before winter, right? Because then you get weak succulent growth that can freeze out. I guess that's the danger. We didn't really talk about that, but You don't want to overstimulate the garlic, especially in a cold area. But then, so I use a lot of bone meal in the fall. I tend to band the bone meal down, and that's got the bone meal I use is 4-16-0. So it actually doesn't have any potassium at all, but it has a modest amount of nitrogen and really heavy load of phosphorus. And I find that that's really, really good. Then some fish fertilizer in the spring, that you can do as a liquid.
Yeah.
But maybe if you're
Ian,
doing
Serena also asked,
75,000 bulbs, it's a little harder to do liquid fertilizer.
yeah.
We could have gotten it.
Oh, that was the
all that, but
question
it
I
would've been
did
interesting to
miss
see.
too, is asking about how she feeds 75,000 bulbs for
Yeah,
heavy
it's like,
feeders.
what a bunch of kids. You got that hard enough to have a small family. If you got 75,000 things you got to take care of, that's a lot of things.
Yeah. Is potash potassium, Serena asks?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I understand, yeah. I mean, potassium complexes with other, ions. So I think that, I don't know the exact chemical formula for potash, but I imagine it is potassium with some other minerals.
John also asks, should I soak garlic to grow roots now before planting? I don't.
If the soil is moist, why,
Yeah.
the soil will do it for you.
It'll get its moisture there for sure.
I mean, I know Kristin did mention don't store garlic in the refrigerator because it is wet, cold, moist, and that will stimulate it to grow roots instead of being good in storage. So, you want
it's going to think it's in the ground, basically, right?
As soon as it touches the ground, or I've had garlic sitting out on a tray that I forgot to bring in, and as soon as a little bit of rain and cool weather gets in there, it starts to just grow right in that tray.
Yeah. Right on. Oh, one more quick little joke from Serena. How is magic performed in the garden with garlic going pesto?
Yeah, well, there you go. Now we know with escapes. If you need to escape, you better bring your pesto along too, because
That's right.
Serena's hitting it out of the park today with the garlic humor.
That's right. Right on.
Nice.
Excellent. But again, everybody, featured book for this last month, The Garlic Companion by Kristin Graves. Get yourself a copy of this book. Link down below in the description so you can get yourself a copy of this. And as we mentioned, great idea for holiday gifts, as well as all of our other gardening books that we've been featuring here on our monthly gardening book club. I think this is we started this last year, and then it was we were kind of like, I think when we started we were like into March or something like that, right? So we didn't have a full year last year. This year we've pretty much got practically a full year, 11 books that we've done throughout this year. Usually at this time of the show we're announcing what our next book would be for the monthly gardening book club,
right?
But what we're going to do in kind of is what we're going to do with the rest of the show as well. I've got some plans and some things that we're going to do as we move into December for kind of end of the year type of shows. And I don't think we're going to be able to get together on the third Sunday next month, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little far away. I'm going to be in India, so that's going to be a little bit hard to connect.
Yeah, I know. So you'll be over in India. Real quick before we actually get into the what we're going to be doing next month, tell us a little bit about what you got plans and what you're heading over to India for.
Well, it's kind of crazy. I hadn't planned to go. I was actually planning on going to a sustainability conference in Nepal. Had a ticket. I bought my ticket. This is a former professor of mine who is leading this up, and a revolution broke out at the beginning of September. I had a ticket that I didn't purchase a lot of cancellation because the ticket was already very expensive. So all of a sudden I'm like, well, I'm going to lose this ticket. I got to use it. So I found you could do a short flight down to India from Nepal. It didn't cost too much. And I've been in India many times before. So I'm like, let's go again. I'm going to go see a new part. I'm going to try to hit on some sustainability initiatives there and do a little learning from that perspective and just see some things I've never seen. So I got about a very unprecedented 12 days to travel alone in India, seeing a few friends along the way, but just
Oh, wow.
soaking it in. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be great.
I'm
That's one of
definitely
the
going to visit some, garden projects and some ancient gardens, gardens that have been tended for hundreds of years. So that should be interesting.
Oh yeah, we'll have to have you get some good videos and video content for us.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give you some
Some of the
dispatches.
Yeah, some dispatches from India. That sounds like such a fun adventure. I'd love to be able to do something like that myself. India would be a really great country. I'm fascinated by lots of aspects of India, so that's going to be a really fun trip for you.
Yeah, India is an endless exploration, and I really had to limit myself to one small geographical area because it's out of
Oh yeah,
control how many interesting things are there. But yeah,
yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
wonderful.
India is a real vast country. So our
Mm,
plans for next month, I believe it's going to be the first Sunday of
yes.
next December for December's monthly gardening book club. And what we're going to do is a book review.
Yeah, I can't wait because as fascinating as each time has been in each book, it's also really interesting to, after we've come through them all, to then say,
Mhm.
what stuck with us, what impressed us, what have we picked up in terms of our gardening techniques or
Yeah, did
learned,
we try something that we learned and yeah, all that sort of stuff.
yeah. So it's the time release of all these different amazing, each, when we finish with each author, it's almost like, it's kind of like Cisco Morris, where he
Yeah.
says, that was my favorite plant. So it's like, Kristin Graves is my favorite garden author. But then I
Yeah,
probably said that the time before and the time before. So we get to
exactly.
really sift that out and see what's what.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be really fun, and again too, is we've been so lucky and fortunate with the authors and the books that we've gotten to review here on our book club and be able to talk with all these great authors. It really is. You can't pick a favorite when it comes down to it, but it'll be really fun to kind of go through what the books that we've been through this year and all of that. Shawnee did ask here, do you already have your 2026 book list wrote? And we're working on
We have
it for
ideas. We have
sure.
ideas.
We definitely have a list, and this is something we've talked about throughout the year, though, too, as well. Is we got to kind of like hold back a little bit sometimes when we're at the garden section of our bookstores or out there looking at other social media and seeing new authors and new books coming in, because the list just keeps growing and
Yeah.
growing for all of the ones that we really want to do. So we've only got 12 spots in a year, right?
Yeah. And as you've noticed, like I think you and Kristen alluded to this, say you've been trying to get Kristen on for a while, and it can be just challenging to get schedules
Yeah,
aligned with people. So we usually go about a month or two in advance selecting the book, and then we have to get that precious confirmation from the author, because that's really a key part of our show
yeah,
here. So we
yeah,
don't, it's sometimes counterproductive to line it up too far in advance, because you really have to, month by
yeah.
month, you got to be really confirming with the author, like, all right, we got this squared away, great, let's go.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the scheduling when it comes to all aspects of this show is the more challenging part of
Mm,
everything. But again, we're just again so fortunate here in this space, and all of you viewers too. I mean, how lucky are all of we when it comes down to it, that we get such amazing people to come spend their time with us here on the show, and especially today with Kristen and all of the other 10 authors that we've gotten to talk to throughout the year. So again, the first Sunday of December, which is just coming up in a couple of weeks. So
yeah.
this next book club is going to come up fast this time, and we're just going to kind of do an end of year book review, talk about all of our different books. And again, another point of doing this at the end of the year is, again, it's the holidays. So instead of just the one book, which we're telling you, get onto your Christmas list for your friends and family, but we'll do a review of all of our books this year, and maybe you can add some of those other ones to your gift list as well, too.
I can somehow, I seem to always be able to justify buying a book, because it's just like, it's such a good, nourishing thing, like a book. Of course, I'm going to buy another book, or I'm
That's
going to buy
right.
this book for somebody, because you just feel like it's not like buying a bunch of junk food or something. It's like this, I am nourishing my soul here in something that's really important to me. And
Yeah.
it's cool. Like when we meet these authors, it's like, yeah, we're supporting somebody that we know now. We've met this
Mhm.
person, we know them. This is like, I want to
Yeah,
promote
that's
this.
that it really is the big uh, benefit or aspect of this book club as opposed to other book clubs. You know, when you have your neighborhood book club, your local book club, or even some other online book clubs I've seen, and all of that is, you know, it's just a review of a book, and the folks get together and they talk about what they read and talk about the book specifically. But here on our book club, we actually get to talk to these authors. You know, we get to
Yeah.
talk and get the inside scoop on what it took to put the book together, what they put into all of that, and to really get to know them as people more so than just the writer of a book that we see, you know, on the cover, you know, seeing their name and everything, and then we read what they put together. We actually get to have them here with us to be
Yeah,
able
I
to
mean,
talk
it's
about
very
that, especially.
relational.
Yeah.
A human actually produced all this stuff. And it's like, I wonder what kind of human would produce this kind of book. And I guess we found out today with Kristin, we learned a lot about her. So that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Again, just another great author, great human, as you put it, joining with us here today. I just want to pop this up here for Serena real quick. She was asking at what temperature and humidity in order to develop black garlic. Well, my answer to that really, Serena, is I've never made it myself. I don't think Mark has really, so we haven't
No,
gone through that process. But you want to learn more about black garlic and how it's done, definitely get in yourself a copy of the Garlic Companion and read all about it for sure. And again, there's probably some other really great videos and things like that online too, to be able to learn just a little bit more about making your own black garlic. But I think that pretty much finishes it up for us today. You know, lots and lots of great garlic talk today.
wow,
A
yeah.
really amazing book. And again, too, we'll be right back at this here in just a couple of weeks for the first Sunday of December to do a review of our 2025 book list.
I know. I can't wait to have just the whole stack right here. It's like, boom, here's 2025. This is what we did this year.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And hopefully everything will be together and we'll be able to announce too, as Shawnee was asking there about the 2026, we'll also be able to announce hopefully our first book of the 2026. Don't hold me to it. I'm going to try my best here. I'm still working on it, but we'll hopefully have that announcement coming up with that next book club here on the first Sunday of the month. But again, Mark, really awesome with it to hang out with you again today, like we do
Always a
each and every
pleasure.
month.
Always a pleasure.
Just really amazing, amazing conversation again today, and again, always great to hang out with you, my friend.
Yeah, it's always great. I always look forward to these Sundays, Enoch. We always work well together, and then with this, whoever our guest is, we just have a good flow. We're in the flow, so I really appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. So right on. I look forward to seeing you here in just a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And yeah, it'll be great. I can't wait to talk about all these
We'll
great
wrap
books
up
that
the
we
year
have.
before quickly starting the next one.
That's right. That's right. So, all right. Well, we'll see you here in a couple of weeks, Mark.
Bye, everybody. It's been great being with you this year through all these books, and join us next time, first Sunday of December, when we kind of do our review of the whole year.
Yeah. Totally looking forward to it.
Thank you.
So, all right, there we have it, everybody. Another fun monthly gardening book club in the books, as we would say here. Again, get yourself a copy of Kristin Graves' The Garlic Companion. Links are down below in the description. Also got a link to Kristin's social media. Definitely go follow along with her and go, like I said, go leave a comment on one of her recent posts. Let her know that you saw her here on the Let's Get Growing show, and go show her some support for joining with us here today on the show. And like I said, we got our next monthly gardening book club will be the first Sunday of this next December, we're going to do a book review of our 2025 book selections, and it'll be a fun show, just a great get together with Mark. And I'm planning some other end of year shows throughout the month of December leading up to the holidays and our holiday break before we get moving into our 2026 season. So for the next couple of weeks, we're just going to be kind of doing some hangouts here on the show. I'll be here Saturday and Sunday. We'll have some fun chats, some fun hangouts. If you got any questions and things you want to ask that you didn't get to ask me on yesterday's show, as I mentioned, yesterday we did a fun reversal. We switched seats with our friend Jay Dixon and facilitator. She came and joined the show as the host, and I was the guest of my own show. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, definitely go back and check out yesterday's show. It was really fun, and again too, you can come and join with us over the next couple of weeks too, if you didn't get a chance to ask any questions or of me during that interview. But it'd be fun to hang out, and then, like I said, we'll get some really great end of year shows for you coming up here for the month of December. So again. Before we head out here today, let's all hit that like button, hit the thumbs up there, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, and definitely share with all your friends. Let them know that we're here every Saturday and Sunday on the Urban Gardener channel here for the Let's Get Growing show at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's 7 p.m. for all of you over in the UK. And real early, 4, 5, 3, depending on where you're at in Australia. It's really early. But thank you all so much for being here. And thank you to all of our replay watchers, Team Replay. Again, thank you so much. Drop into the comments section below. Let me know you were here. Let me know if you got all of your garlic planted out for the year, or just drop in and say hi. And definitely follow all the links down below, like I said, to our guests, to our other social media. We've got a link to our good friend, Mr. MBC. You can go and catch up with him for his microgreens university that he's doing over on Instagram. You want to go follow along with those fun videos as well too. And again, if you do have a chance here to donate to the show, we're always accepting donations. There's links for those down below as well too, so that you can directly donate to the show. We appreciate all that you can give, especially as we head towards the holiday season here. I do appreciate all of you who contribute to the show. It's just really amazing what you've all done so far for us here this year. And again, I look forward to winding down the year with all of you, and moving on into 2026 as we get growing along here, though. But it's been great to hang out with you all this weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all next Saturday. So I'll see all of you then.
Power out.